Welcome to today's Retirees with Wayne Maslyk, Certified Financial Planner, a program designed to educate you on family-focused retirement and tax planning. Today's Retirees is brought to you by Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management and Allen Thorley Deloitte Insurance.
And welcome to this edition of today's Retirees with Certified Financial Planner Wayne Maslyk of Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. Today, folks, I want to encourage you to call your family and friends to tune in to this program, whether it's on radio or whether you're watching on television, because we are going to be talking today, Wayne, about a financial perfect storm that is set up in this country, actually the world, but especially here in America.
Yeah, there are a few factors right now that are, if not affecting us now, will be affecting us very shortly. We're going to talk about them on the show. People really need to pay attention. They need to do some right things with their money, and they need to make sure they don't do some wrong things and make some mistakes that can hurt them down the road and their family. Absolutely.
Now, friends, listen, go to that. We also want you to, over and over throughout this show, we're going to give you that 800 number, the toll-free number, 866-626-3990, and I want you to call that number. Wayne has folks there. If you get a recording, please leave your name and number. Someone will call you back so that you can come in and you can talk with Wayne about some of these things. Wayne, sometimes as we talk with people, and you do this all the time, I just talk with neighbors and friends, and because they're a retiree of a certain corporation or a certain school system or a certain government agency, they think they're immune from this storm that's coming up.
Right, yeah, they think those pensions will be there forever. They think those health costs will remain the same. Mm-hmm. You know, they may be used to small deductibles and small co-pays and small premiums. Mm-hmm. That's changing. You know, they're used to the taxes we're paying now. Mm-hmm. We know those are going up.
Right.
And basically the perfect storm that we're going to be talking about today is inflation, rising taxes and a volatile stock market, and longevity. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by longevity is folks are living longer and longer.
Right.
Within a few years, I think 20 years, 25 years, it's estimated that there will be over 1 million folks that will be over the age of 100.
Wow, really?
Really. So these, money has to last.
Right.
Not just to age 80 like folks are used to, or 85.
Mm-hmm.
They need to make sure they don't make mistakes with their money.
Absolutely.
And when you have inflation creeping in on it, you have taxes taking money away from them, mm-hmm. you have the stock market sucking money away from them, and you have long life, that makes for a perfect storm for folks, and they have to make sure they do the right things with their money.
Absolutely. You mentioned inflation. I'd say most of our audience can remember the 1970s. It hasn't been that long ago, but inflation was just on a upward climb, mm-hmm. very steep. Mm-hmm. Interest rates were in the teens and 20%. Mm-hmm. Buy a home, you were looking at 15, 16, 18% interest rates.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. Of course, if you had a money market at that time, you were also getting 10 or 12%.
Yeah, or a CD, right?
Right.
We'd kill for those rates today.
But when you talk about inflation, people don't factor in very much into their retirement savings and into that, do they?
Mm-hmm. They don't. And there's different types of inflation. You have the core inflation, then you have also the inflation that affects most of us harder, which is fuel.
Yes.
And energy. I mean, we've been feeling that pain, $4 a gallon for gas, and food.
Mm-hmm.
Food prices, from vegetables to beef to when we go out to dinner, that affects people the most, in my opinion.
Sure.
Every day, right in our own pocketbooks.
Right. Now, are you seeing, or is the experts that you're working with, are we looking at hyperinflation? I don't know if folks know what that term means, hyperinflation.
I don't know if hyperinflation's down the pike. Politically, they're going to do everything they can to stop that. Mm-hmm. Bernanke will do everything he can to stop that. I'm sure there will be some inflation, but you can't. It's not a a guarantee that they could stop that.
Right.
I mean, I think China's having some issues with inflation right now. I think I just read they raised the interest rates 9 times in the last year or so to try and curb inflation. It may come, and likely it is coming, especially in certain areas of our lives.
Sure.
Maybe not every area,
Right.
but there are things we will be paying more for.
Well, I remember just a couple of years ago, I was talking with an engineer who had done some work in Brazil during their hyperinflation days. And he said when he would go out, he was, as a contractor, he would go out and eat a meal, pay for it before he ate the meal, because it was a different price after he ate the meal.
Wow, especially if you're a slow eater.
Or take a taxi, you paid for it before because it was different when you got to your destination.
Yeah, I mean, as these prices go up, if the folks' investments aren't earning and keeping pace with inflation, they have a problem, because after a few short years, the buying power of their profits on their investments, the interest they're earning, doesn't even cover the growth of the inflation. And we're seeing that now with 0.5% savings account rates and 1.5% 5-year CD rates.
Sure.
It's a problem. I mean, when people have $100,000 in a CD and they're used to getting $4,000 a year in interest, now they're only getting $1,000 or $1,500. That affects their lifestyle.
Absolutely.
So they have to take some steps to improve upon that, which
Now,
of course I can help them with.
And this is where what you do comes in, a certified financial planner. That's why we want to encourage you to use that toll-free number, 866-626-3990. Call, set up an appointment, go see Wayne, and sit down and talk about what ifs. If inflation, if my retirement changes. I know people, you know people who are retired from major corporations who have gone through, since 2008, these corporations have had major changes. Some of them have gone through bankruptcies. And their retirement plans are a lot different than they were 3 years ago.
Oh, you have the retirees from the steel mills, you have the retirees from Ford. They've had benefits cut. You've had GM retirees have benefits and pensions adjusted. And that's just today. We're not taking into consideration what's coming down the road.
Right.
Even teachers, even government retirees. The money's not there. So these folks need to do some steps today to protect themselves against these changes and adjustments that are going to come down the road.
Absolutely. Well, friends, we are going to take a quick break right here. We'll come back. When we come back, we're going to continue this discussion on the perfect storm: inflation, market volatility, taxes. We know what's going to happen with taxes.
They're going
and
up.
The longevity of ourselves, and will our money last throughout our lifetime? We'll be back right after this.
Schedule your appointment with Wayne today by calling 866-626-3990 or visit todaysretirees.com.
Wayne Maslyk is a certified financial planner, which is the standard that all other financial advisors are measured. What this means to you is simply this: credibility. As a certified financial planner, Wayne assists you in family, estate, and tax planning from an independent perspective, not from a sales perspective. Wayne does not work for an investment or insurance company, but gives advice based on your family's unique needs, not the sales goals of an insurance or investment firm. Call for a free consultation with Wayne to see how to reduce your existing or estate taxes, better use the retirement funds you have, or plan for the retirement that is fast approaching. Call toll-free 866-626-3990.
Allen Thorley Deloitte Insurance has been locally owned and represented for over 100 years. That means if catastrophe happens, we've probably seen it, and we'll walk you through the process of making everything right again. Representing some of the finest insurance companies in the industry, Allen Thorley Deloitte shops for you, giving you the personalized service, advice, and coverage you deserve. Yes, it's really that simple. Let us customize a plan for your personal or business insurance needs at 800-628-1057 or visit atdinsurance.com.
Find out why Wayne Maslyk, Certified Financial Planner, is the right choice for you.
Many do-it-yourselfers read and watch financial shows, but when you look at the actual rate of return that they've earned on their investments, or when you look at the state of their estate plan, Are the documents updated? Is everything in line? A lot of times it's not. So those folks, if they're not doing a great job themselves, they need to come in and see me. Call the office, talk to my staff.
Now back to today's retirees with certified financial planner Wayne Maslyk.
And welcome back to this special edition of Today's Retirees with certified financial planner Wayne Maslyk, Great Lakes Benefits and Wealth Management. As we said earlier, take a moment and call your friends, your neighbors, your relatives, and have them tune in to this program, whether you're watching on television or listening on the radio, because we are talking about the perfect financial storm. And Wayne, we have talked a little bit, just briefly about the inflation, and as we have looked at some of these questions, these are things that are pretty common, aren't they?
These are things that are common, and people are concerned about these topics. And you remember The Perfect Storm, the movie, and with the fishermen that were caught out there when the different weather fronts accumulated perfectly to create some major weather. This is happening right now in our economy and in the markets, in our government. We have this perfect storm coming together, and people have to be careful on what they do and how they handle their money in these main categories. And we have inflation, we have taxes, we have the volatility of the stock market, and then we have longevity. We're living longer.
Right.
And our money has to last longer. So if we look at inflation here, this is the first part of the perfect storm. Inflation is coming. I mean, we've been kind of lucky lately that prices have been kept pretty low, with the exception of maybe fuel and some energy, but we've also been hurt by that, by very low interest rates.
Right.
Okay? Now if we look at inflation, core inflation has been historically about 3 to 4% over the last 50 years.
Okay.
But that's not really what hurts us. What hurts us is some of these next items. One, health costs.
Oh, yes.
Okay. 8 to 12% annual health cost increases.
Right.
Now at 12%, costs double every 6 years.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Based on math. So if you're paying $500 a month for health premiums today, you're going to pay $1,000 a month in 6 years. If you're paying $1,000 a month today, $2,000 a month in 6 years.
Right.
That's $24,000 a year just for premiums.
Right.
That can hurt a lot of people. And health insurance is a big factor when people try and retire early. A lot of people can't retire early before age 65 because they can't afford the health insurance.
Sure.
So you have to get this in check, soon. And they are talking about Medicare cuts coming down the road.
Right.
So that will affect people that are already 65 or older. You really have to address this.
See, all of these things, as you talk about these are real concerns of real people, because the government, it doesn't have any money. I mean, we're literally $14 trillion in debt. So these costs are just going to continue to climb.
Well, they're going to go, we just saw a report that we're over $60 trillion in debt when it comes to unfunded liabilities, unfunded promises the government made to folks.
Like Medicare and Social Security.
Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. They don't even have the money for that. So the cuts are coming.
Sure.
They're going to be there. People are going to say, oh, I hope it's not me, I hope it's not me, but you have to prepare just in case it is you.
Right.
I had with a medical cost, I had a client in my office this week, and he was telling me about how he had some kind of a flare-up with, I forget the name of the phlebitis or something like that, and he was in the hospital. They had to take him to Elyria. And he said, can I just drive there? They're like, no, you can't drive, you have to take an ambulance. So he got in the ambulance and went. $1,500.
Wow.
He says, that's the last time I'll do that. He said, I'll rip the IV out and drive myself.
Yeah.
$1,500. And he's you got to write checks for that, on top of all the other medical costs for the year.
Wow, yeah.
Then for folks that are helping pay for education for their grandchildren or their children, you have the education costs.
Sure.
I mean, you have the prices for colleges are going up and up and up. Private school costs are going up and up and up. You're talking 6 to 10% inflation
Per year. Yes.
At least.
Wow.
So you add the core and then the energy and the food and all these others, and your dollar is going not as far as it used to be.
Right, exactly.
So you have to make sure you at least don't go backwards, and you have to make sure you earn inflation rates or better on your money.
Sure, sure.
Okay.
Now the next one that people are concerned about is taxes. And when you just said $60 trillion unfunded liability that this country has.
Yeah.
That money is going to come from somewhere.
Yeah, us.
Yeah, exactly.
It's coming from us.
Right.
It's coming from cuts, and it's coming from higher taxes.
Right.
So everyone will be getting a tax hike in the next few years.
So there are, you know, I remember when my parents retired or started Social Security, they didn't tax Social Security as income.
Oh, right.
That's not the case today.
Well, no, you can pay as much as 85% tax on your Social Security income. Means testing is on the table for coming down the road, where they're actually going to say, hey, if you know, Richard doesn't need it, Richard isn't going to get it. Okay? If Joe over here didn't save and doesn't have any assets, and if he doesn't get it, he's not going to be able to survive. He's going to get it. That's coming. I mean, when you listen to these politicians and they're truthful on these interviews, if that's potential, can a politician be truthful? But means testing is coming, either by means of taxing it, where if you get it and you have too much money, you're just going to pay more tax on it, or they'll actually reduce the amount that you'll be eligible for, especially if you have other pensions coming in, other assets saved. But you have taxes now. Most of us pay around 15%. The wealthy pay about 35%.
Okay.
Those were extended for a couple years. Most people feel those are going up. My bet is most of us will be paying around 20 or 25 here in a few years.
Okay.
And the highest bracket will go up to 39.6 where it was, or even higher.
Wow.
Couple that with the state tax that we pay, and local taxes, right? And property taxes, and every other kind of tax we pay, they're going up.
Right.
Okay. I'll give you an example here. Someone saved, they have a couple $100,000 in their IRA. They have to take a required minimum distribution at age 70 and a half.
Okay.
About 4%. So they take 4% of that, like the government makes them. That's $8,000. Right? Then they're going to pay their 25% tax on that. So $2,000 goes to Uncle Sam.
Right.
Then they have to pay the state, rounded up to $1,000.
Okay.
So they're left with $5,000
Out of the 8.
out of the 8.
Wow.
Okay? That's not a lot left.
Right. And when you couple that with the inflation, the buying power of the 5 is reduced by another, what, 10%, 12%? Who knows at that point?
I mean, people don't realize when they look at their investment statements, and if it says $200,000, it's really not $200,000, because it's $200,000 minus taxes they pay on it.
Sure.
Now, when we come back from the break, I'm gonna couple in another problem, and that's if the stock market takes the money away from you,
Right.
and then the taxes get taken away from you. Now, there are ways to invest safely and to invest in a tax-efficient manner. And I know we talked about giving this book away.
We have a special offer for our viewers.
Special offer for folks that call in today. This is the book Tax-Free Retirement. The author is Patrick Kelly. This is a national best-selling book, and it really helps folks understand how they could reduce or eliminate these taxes in retirement. This doesn't have to be.
Right.
This is just the way it is for most people, because they just never plan. They just put money in their IRAs or 401ks or whatever, and then surprise, just like we talked about on a couple shows ago, the tax time bomb hits.
Right.
And now all their savings dwindles away either to tax reductions or stock market losses or other mistakes they make.
Sure.
So really, call in, get this book. I'll give it to you free just for calling in, and we'll also get you my newsletter at the same time.
Right. Now, friends, listen, go to that number, 866-626-3990. We're going to take a little break right here. I've read this book. It's fascinating information. It really is. Now, When we come back, we're going to address a couple more issues.
Yes.
But also, one of the things that keeps coming in my mind is, we've talked about this throughout the course of months. Most of us make these mistakes out of ignorance. And ignorance, we don't have to be it. And when I say ignorance, don't misunderstand, I'm not saying stupid, I'm saying we're uninformed.
Well, yes, in a lot of cases we're uninformed, but it's being uninformed, it's being lazy or complacent, it's being greedy. A lot of folks, remember Enron, right?
Sure.
They knew they shouldn't have all their eggs in one basket. They shouldn't have all their investments in the company stock, especially the company they work for. If they ever met with any advisor, the advisor would say, hey, you need to diversify a little bit. But the stock's going up and up, and they ignored them. In exchange, they lost everything.
Right.
A lot of people with Ford Motor, the same thing. You have the retiree, he works there, he's getting his pension there, he had all of his retirement in Ford stock. Well, you know what happened to Ford stock.
Yeah, it
went in the tubes, and a lot of people sold when it was down there.
Yeah.
Even though it's rebounded some, a lot of people got hurt. People know. So yeah, some are ignorance, some are greed, some are they're just lazy or complacent. They don't come in to see folks like me. They're just living their lives. Right. The show is to get people off their butts, make a call, and let's get serious about their money.
Absolutely. We'll be back right after this. Go to the phone, 866-626-3990. If you get a recording, leave your name and number and someone will call you back.
Schedule your appointment with Wayne today by calling 866-626-3990 or visit todaysretirees.com.
Wayne Maslyk is a certified financial planner, which is the standard that all other financial advisors are measured. What this means to you is simply this: credibility. As a certified financial planner, Wayne assists you in family, estate, and tax planning from an independent perspective, not from a sales perspective. Wayne does not work for an investment or insurance company, but gives advice based on your family's unique needs, not the sales goals of an insurance or investment firm. Call for a free consultation with Wayne to see how to reduce your existing or estate taxes, better use the retirement funds you have, or plan for the retirement that is fast approaching. Call toll-free 866-626-3990.
Allen Thorley Deloitte Insurance has been locally owned and represented for over 100 years. That means if catastrophe happens, we've probably seen it, and we'll walk you through the process of making everything right again. Representing some of the finest insurance companies in the industry, Allen Thorley Deloitte shops for you, giving you the personalized service, advice, and coverage you deserve. Yes, it's really that simple. Let us customize a plan for your personal or business insurance needs at 800-628-1057 or visit atdinsurance.com.
Find out why Wayne Maslyk, Certified Financial Planner, is the right choice for you.
Then there's folks that need to come see me that maybe are a recent widow or widower and just need some help getting their financial house in order. Or there's folks working with current financial advisors or brokers, and maybe the brokers are taking too much of their money at risk, losing it to the stock market. So come see me, folks. Call the office and set a time that's comfortable and convenient for you, and I look forward to meeting you.
Now back to today's retirees with Certified Financial Planner Wayne Maslyk.
Well, Wayne, as we're talking about this perfect storm, these are, some of the questions. And the stock market, it's been a roller coaster for forever, but it seems like especially in the last several years.
Yeah, it's a very volatile market. It's been a sideways market for the last 10 years. We're not even barely where we were 11 years ago or so.
Sure.
And that's the problem. I'll give you an example. If you have somebody that has $200,000 in an IRA or retirement plan and the stock market goes down, like it did in '08 and early 2000, say 40%, and they happen to need some money.
Right.
Well, 40% takes their account value, the 200, down to 120,000.
Wow, yes.
Right? Then they make the withdrawal to go buy a house or help a kid out, or maybe they just leave an inheritance to their kid. Now we have 25% tax minimum coming out of it.
Wow.
You know, plus state, plus maybe some death tax. From the 200, that leaves them $90,000 in their pocket. From a $200,000,
wow.
And it could be worse than this if they were in a Ford stock type
Sure.
situation, or even
Right.
a different volatile investment. So yeah, couple market volatility and then take taxes off of the balance, it really can hurt them. So folks have to be very careful there. The last one is longevity. You know, we're living longer, our money has to last longer, people can travel longer, right? Spend money doing vacationing and that longer than 20, 30 years ago because they're staying healthier.
Certainly.
Your money has to last. I help folks set up a income stream that they can outlive.
That sounds encouraging.
Yeah, so they never have to worry about running out of money.
Right.
You have to have an income plan and a setup where no matter how long you live, you never have to worry about running out of money.
Mm-hmm.
So when you adjust and work on these 4 areas, which is what I do for folks, you can stop people from getting hurt by this perfect storm.
Wow.
People can take proactive measures so they don't get hurt.
This is this is why we encourage folks to pick up the phone, go to your website, todaysretirees.com, email you at wayne@todaysretirees.com, call that toll-free number, 866-626-3990, and sometimes they get a recording. Just leave a name and a number, and somebody will
If
call
it's
you
after
back.
hours. Mm-hmm.
Someone will call you back, but you need to do that. And remember, a free offer. If you call that number and ask for it, Wayne will send you Tax-Free Retirement, a national bestseller. You don't have to give all your money to the government, do you?
No, no. If you're proactive and you learn and you work with a pro, you'll have more money in your pocket and less will go to Uncle Sam.
And that's exactly what Wayne is trying to do with this a book in your hands. Give him a call today. We're out of time.
Thank you for being a part of today's Retirees. We trust the information discussed on today's Retirees has been a benefit to you. To schedule a no cost or obligation appointment with Wayne, please call our office.